It's time for another history segment here on SSPTV News with our good friend Charles McElwee. He is the Vice President of the Board of Directors for the Greater Hazleton Historical Society and Museum in downtown Hazleton. And we hear the word diversity a lot these days, but there was diversity in the days of old as well.
Right, so Hazleton has always been defined by its melting pot culture. And I'd always throw the statistic out because I think it's so important for people to understand how dramatic that melting pot culture, the level of diversity which existed here. In the early 20th century, in that just 6-mile grid that is the city of Hazleton, over 25 immigrant groups had come to Hazleton with over 36 languages that were tallied by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So 36 languages were spoken by World War I on Hazleton streets. And that was, so I'm saying 20-something immigrant groups, but more languages, but we're counting dialects. And even the native Irish population, they didn't speak English. They spoke initially in the mid-20th century, they were Gaelic speakers. So, but all groups that came here, they were assimilated by the mining experience and the labor movement. So the mining infrastructure, that the economy of the mining industry, the coal operators often exploited the ethnic differences, the language barriers, pitting one miner against the other in the labor hierarchy. But the conditions of the mines and the lack of pay and the deplorable conditions of the patch towns forced all immigrant groups to come together by 1902 to unite under the banner of the labor movement, certainly inspired by the Latimer Massacre and the devastation of that, to fight for labor rights. And they were subsequently united, and we have this beautiful melting pot culture, and that continues to exist in Hazleton, that they retain their old world customs. You observe the traditions of your family or your ancestors' immigrant group, ethnic group, but they develop this distinct Hazletonian identity. And there are some interesting passages that have been observed by people who have come here. For example, in 1981, a University of Pennsylvania anthropologist, his name's Dan Rose, he wrote a book about this, about energy transition in Hazleton. And he said the ethnic flavor of the anthracite area persists, and the investigator can still discern ethnic groups niched into the present political economy as they were in the 19th century. He called Hazleton an anthropological field worker's delight. He said the people of Hazleton are open and cordial. He found the city to be both like other American cities and a place wholly set apart. The citizens have a deep awareness of these dichotomies and a vital sense of their places within them.
All righty, Charles McElwee. He'll be back again with more history from our area.
Thanks, Lisa and Charles. The Greater Hazleton Historical Society will host an open house this Saturday from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. Admission is $5, and there is parking in the rear.